Welcome back. So today we're going to dig into a story that's, believe it or not, 2,600 years old. But its message? It's about loyalty, opportunism, and that huge cost of trying to play both sides. It feels like it could have been written yesterday. And trust me, it's a lesson that, once you get it, it can kind of change how you look at everything. Your friends, your job, even yourself.
Okay, let's just jump right in with a question. You ever been in that spot, that really uncomfortable feeling of being caught right in the middle, pulled in two different directions? You know that moment where taking a stand feels super risky, but just staying quiet, well, it feels kind of dishonest? Yeah, that feeling? This whole story is about that exact dilemma.
All right, so to really get why this story has so much weight, we've got to go way back to where it all started. And look, this is not just some simple kid's fable. No way. It was born out of a time of serious political chaos, and it's a super sharp commentary that's been ringing true for centuries. So get this, we're talking all the way back to the 6th century BCE. It's part of what scholars call the Aesopic corpus. And you have to put yourself in that mindset, right? In those ancient Greek city-states, if there was a civil war or some big conflict, not picking a side wasn't an option. It wasn't just frowned upon. People thought you were up to something, you know? So Aesop, being a genius, picks the perfect symbol, the bat. A creature that's kind of a beast but also kind of a bird. It was the perfect way to talk about this messy human problem of identity and where you belong.
Okay, so now for the main event. Let's get right into the story itself. The birds, the beasts, and the bat. This is where things get really juicy.
So the story goes, it all kicked off with this really bitter, brutal war. Think about it. The fox family was always going after the geese, and the eagle was constantly hunting the hare. The lines were drawn in the sand. There was absolutely no middle ground here.
And here you can really see the two sides squared up. On one side, you've got the birds of the air. On the other, the beasts of the earth. And then there's the bat, just kind of hanging out in the middle, not really part of either group. Just watching, waiting.
So what did the bat do? It decided not to pick a side. Instead, it played this really clever, calculated game. Whenever it looked like the birds were winning, the bat would be all like, "Hey guys, look at my wings, I'm one of you." But the second the tide turned and the beasts were gaining ground, whoosh, it'd scurry right over to them, showing off its fur and teeth, saying, "See, I'm a beast, just like you."
And here is the punchline. This is the whole point. When the war finally ended and everyone came together for a peace conference, the bat's little game was totally exposed. Both the birds and the beasts remembered what it did. They remembered the betrayal, and guess what? Neither side wanted anything to do with it. The bat was kicked out by everyone and was basically condemned to live alone in the dark forever. So that really makes you think, right? Why was what the bat did so unforgivable? I mean, to both sides, what was the real crime here?
And this is a really important distinction. The story isn't saying that being neutral is always bad. Not at all. It's calling out a very specific, very selfish kind of neutrality. You could call it predatory opportunism. See, the bat wasn't trying to make peace. It was just sitting on the fence, waiting to see who was going to win so it could join them. Its biggest failure wasn't that it was weak, but that it had absolutely zero conviction.
And this just nails the core message, doesn't it? Think about it. With an enemy, at least you know where you stand. It's out in the open. But a fake friend, someone who acts like they're on your team only to stab you in the back for their own gain, man, that hurts so much more. That's the kind of deceit that people just can't forgive.
Which brings up a really tough question for all of us, personally. If your whole identity is just built on what other people expect you to be, if you're constantly changing who you are just to fit in, what's actually left of you? You run the risk of becoming just like the bat, a creature that seems to fit in anywhere, but really doesn't belong anywhere at all.
So, okay, let's pull this ancient story right into today. Because this isn't just about birds and beasts in some old fable. This exact same problem, this dilemma, it shows up in our lives every single day.
You can pretty much break it down into three main areas. Three, let's call them battlefields, where we face this challenge. In our personal lives, in our relationships with friends and family, and, of course, at work.
So, first, on a personal level. This is all about fighting that urge to be a social chameleon, right? It's about not ditching your core beliefs just to get a new group of friends to like you. Or, going along with some nasty gossip just because you want to be part of the in crowd. At the end of the day, it's about having the guts to just be you. Consistently you.
Then there are our relationships. With friends, with family. Commitment is everything. It's the foundation of trust. So when you're all wishy-washy when a friend is going through a crisis, or when you just stay quiet when you see someone treating them unfairly, that's not just being neutral. That's a kind of betrayal.
Real friendship, true loyalty, is about showing up, especially when it's hard.
And oh man, we have all seen this at work, haven't we? The team is in the trenches, grinding it out, facing setbacks. And that one person, the bat, is nowhere to be seen. They're conveniently busy. But the second the project is a success, bam, there they are, front and center, ready to take a bow and claim their share of the credit. That is the modern-day office bat. And it is the fastest way to lose every ounce of respect from the people who actually put in the work.
Okay, so what's the takeaway here? What's the alternative? How do we avoid that same lonely fate and, choose to walk in the light?
Well, what the fable is really telling us is that the bat is a symbol for a broken, fragmented self. A soul that's divided can't ever really feel at home anywhere. Real strength, which you might call integration, it comes from picking a path, your path, and sticking to it with honor, no matter which way the tide of battle seems to be flowing. So this gives us 4 really powerful ideas, almost like mantras to build that kind of integrity. First, be consistent in who you are, no matter who you're with. Second, be loyal. Stand by your people through thick and thin. Third, choose integrity over the easy way out. And finally, have conviction. That's what lets you walk boldly in the light.
Because in the end, the lesson is pretty simple, but it's powerful. People remember who vanished when things got hard. So don't let fear turn you into a creature of the night. Find the courage to choose your side, to hold your ground, and to let the sun find you right where you stood.